Doc Ellis, Ellis Clinic, June 28th, July 28th, 2023. Okay, Darryl from North Carolina. What can you help me? What would be the cost? This is a VA question. We charge $500 for a condition. Like if you had a shoulder, it'd be $500. Another shoulder, it'd be $500. But let's say you have a neck and pain down both arms, that'd be one condition, just $500. If you have like hearing loss and tinnitus, that's one, $500. But two knees would be $500 each. Anyway, all right, so it's $500. And be careful. There are people out there that are charging thousands and thousands of dollars, and then they're wanting a piece of your award, your VA disability. Folks, that's unethical. Now, lawyers can get represent you and get a piece of the disability and award, and that's ethical. Because that allows people that don't have money to hire a lawyer, and they get a piece of it. But doctors cannot get a piece of any disability, because then it's going to make you want to say more stuff than you should. It makes you want to lie, and that's just unethical. If you're an MD or DO, if you're not, then you're just unethical. Read your rules, folks. Okay. So anyway, I was 85 to 87, USS Henry, diving in the submarine. A radio operator hit his head, dropped a wrench. He was unconscious. That's enough history right there. Any brain damage, dementia, dizziness, anything in the future is covered. All right? Woke up. So there's no such thing as a minor head injury, folks. Okay. And then also he hit his head in the missile tube. Now he has headaches and memory loss, okay? So the headaches can be rated at 10, 30, 50, 70. The memory loss can be rated 10, 30, 50, 70, 100, right? And the best way to rate scientifically brain damage is to have a spouse there. And then I say, I can rate it this, and whatever she says, or he, that's my scientific answer, because they're observing you. But anyway, we'll pick that up. That's an easy stuff. Okay. Now he's on another ship, fire on board, see his head again, okay. And so several bumps on the head, okay. Okay, so, here he says in 95, 99, had right hand surgery. I don't know if the hands got hurt in the service. If you sprained your right hand in the service, then any right hand surgery down the line is service connected. You had carpal tunnel surgery, and you still have pain in your right hand. You rate it. And post-traumatic stress disorder, that speaks for itself. He's denied post-traumatic stress disorder, died left knee strain, right knee strain, denied hematuria. We want hematuria approved. We want kidney disease approved. We may want to rate it at 0, but not denied. Okay? Then, because that will contribute to hypertension and things in the future for consequential. Okay, past kidney stone. Okay, there you go. There you go. That good. Right cubital tunnel syndrome. If you had any kind of injury or symptoms in your right hand in the service, that makes that compensable. Fracture of the 5th metacarpal. Okay, there you go. If the fracture occurred in the service, and that's usually having fun with somebody, that makes the carpal tunnel and all that stuff in your hand covered. That's covered. And then you've got a spur in your right elbow. Now, once you mess up the hand, the whole arm gets bad. Now, everybody, grab your forearm and move your fingers. Forgot to turn this thing off. There you go. Move your fingers. You realize the hand's actually attached to the elbow. So anything on the elbow is consequential to the thing that happened in the service. And it's typical of all these denials. Let me explain why. I had a senior federal employee who teaches raters, the people that, in North Carolina that do the ratings. And they're not well trained. And then the doctors, the nurse practitioners, the PAs are not trained at all. And everybody has a bias against anybody who files a claim, because everybody's filing claims, a faker and a cheater. Allstate ran an ad for months. We fight fake car wreck claims. to keep car insurance premiums down. Buy our car insurance. I fell on my chair laughing. The ad says if you file against them, we're going to fight you. But they used that and kept running because it sells insurance. Because everybody has a bias. When you file a claim in federal workers' comp, VA disability, car wreck, or anything, it's like being in 1924, a black man in a KKK meeting. You're screwed. Everybody thinks you're lying. And it's administrative law in VA and federal workers' comp, and no one knows the law, no one follows the law, but the VA and the federal workers' comp law are ridiculously fair. If you don't give up and you get a doctor that knows what he's doing and has had trained in legal medicine, you'll win. That's the problem. 50% of litigation requires a doctor's report. We don't have any training in legal medicine. I see emergency reports and stuff like that, and they don't realize how not putting down just every little thing screws the people, right? Stop doing it. Learn that stuff, guys. Okay. Now, here's Don from Virginia. 80-year-old veteran. 90%. Good. Lumbar surgery, 92. 10% for hernia disc. Okay, this is how you rate backs. How much time do you miss off work? And that raises the percentage. Okay. Degenerative disc disease and 0% for scar. Okay. Yeah. But you've had the disc, you've had the surgery and all that stuff. So anyway, now, my Virginia Department of Veterans Service VSO advised me to file for disability due to multi-joint arthritis, secondary to my above rated disabilities. That's too vague. I wouldn't. I'd just go back and rate that back, and I'm sure you have numbness down your legs. Rate your back and both legs. And if you have any trouble with your knees from that, then you rate it. You put it all together, do the back. Of course, you have recent X-rays showing arthritis. Okay, so we diagnose you as degenerative disc, arthritis, radiculopathies, pinching the nerve down your legs, and rate all that together. You rate your back by how much pain it is, how much spasm I have, how long you're missing work, and so your back just by itself can be 100%, and then you add each leg. Okay, and don't go for just keep it on what's already accepted. Why file a new claim? You've already got all that stuff covered. I would disagree with the VSO. Now, wait a minute. Now, VSOs, again, before I say anything bad, they're free. They've learned, they've gone to the VA, they've learned how to file all this stuff electronically, because you don't want to do administrative law electronically by yourself. You go to these people. Each state has their own veteran service officer people that do it. DAV, American Legion, all these people are great. Sometimes, be careful though, if they say it'd be better to file a new claim like here. No, we want to go back to the old claim. Because if you filed a claim and you got denied, so let's file a new claim, it's easier to start a new claim. There's a thing called Niemeyer, a veteran named Niemeyer. Once this claim is accepted 10 years later, they got to go back to the original time you filed and pay you forward. So sometimes it might be easier for the VSO, but it's not easy for your pocketbook. And the VSO's not doing it. It doesn't know they're doing that. They're not doing it mean lingering. Okay. So yeah, you get this is easy stuff. So just come in and we'll do the repairment, and if there's more stuff, we'll add it. Don't worry, just go to ellisclinic.com, click VA appointment. All right, there's Vincent from Texas. I currently have a claim filed. Can you do a records review if I get denied? If so, what do you charge? Okay. If the claim is, it's a VA, we charge $500 per condition. And what you do is you just do another nexus report. You do a nexus report that works. If you will go to the Board of Veterans Appeals and get in their case laws and look up Ellis, and then you'll see all the doctors and Dr. Ellis, and all those that have Ellis in it, remanded back. We're relying on Ellis's report, remand it back, because we do it right. We know the law. Remand it back, get it done. And also, when we do a nexus report, we assume you're going to the Board of Veterans Appeals. If we do federal workers' comp, we assume we're going to take this DCAB. We make it perfect right out of the chute. Okay. John from Maryland. Disability rating 50 for hearing impairment, loss, and 10% for tinnitus. His hearing started at 0, and then now it's up to 40, and that's a good point for everybody. So if you have 10% for tinnitus, and your hearing test is 0 rated, a lot of times they'll rate you as denied. No, we want a 0 rating. It's accepted, but just not a number yet because it's not that bad yet. Once you get to 0, that means it's an approved claim, and you just go back to VA and get another audiogram, and eventually it's going to continue to get worse. When you stop noise exposure, it continues to deteriorate. And then you go back, and you don't need Ellis Clean to do that. But here's something about VA audiograms. Veteran with hearing aids, you got to yell, they can't understand you when you're yelling. If you cover your mouth, they can't even hear you. And 30% impairment. This is the standard now of everything except the VA, the American Medical Association Guides for Evaluating Impairment. So he's 30% impaired. But the VA then takes that audiogram impairment and they do what's called speech discrimination. It's supposed to be a Maryland CNC. It's a disc of somebody pronouncing words. And it's, do you understand the word? And so I have people, this guy with hearing aids and can't understand the word, came back with an audiogram, speech discrimination. He gets 96% of the words correct. Now that's just outright fraud. And what happened was the audiologist, whoever did it, didn't use the CD-ROM, just kept saying the word over and over again until he understood it. When you go to the VA and they ask you if you understand a word, you give them one answer one time. No, I did or I didn't. And you repeat what you think you heard. Then when they ask it again, you say, ma'am, I think that I talked to Doc Ellis on YouTube, and he said, if I don't get it the first time, I don't guess at it, and you can't keep saying it. And is this you saying it, or is this off a CD-ROM? Do I need to write a complaint to the Office of Inspector General? We're going to have to get one of these audiologists in trouble one time, and then they won't do it anymore. But that's why you also don't go to Beltone for your testing. Now you could go to Beltone as an evidence to show you have hearing loss. But you can't rate it. All right. But the doctor would say, based on that and my examination, you got it, and it's worth the money, and it may be free at Beltone. Okay, but anyway, that's the trick. Be careful; they're trying to screw you. I know it's the GOV, and I know we're raised on Superman comic books, truth, justice, the American way, and no one can believe that someone could cheat them. Now, if you're in Russia, you wouldn't be surprised if they tried to screw you. These are people. There's a verse that Paul wrote in the Bible. I'm the chief of sinners. I said, well, yeah, I wasn't born yet. Because if Paul was here, we'd be arguing who's worse sinner in this room. Okay? And we are a greater sinner than Southern people because you have more light. Okay, so don't be surprised when people try to screw you. And get over it. It's part of growing up and learning to judge angels, and that you're supposed to do. If you don't know, you go to judge angels, read Corinthians. Okay. Hearing difficulty. I've been suffering depression, anxiety issues. Tinnitus, depression, anxiety, covered. Now, it may only be 1% aggravation of anxiety, 1% aggravation of depression, but that makes 100% covered. Reached out 10 or 12 years ago, seen psychiatrist. Now, if you ever filed for depression and anxiety in the past, we'll get it approved, and we go back to the date of filing. Otherwise, it'll be a new filing, and we'll get that approved. Okay. And plus, there may be other things that service that contributed to your deal. But your tinnitus and ringing your ears, big time. Okay. Now, the people who get depression and anxiety is my wife and my hearing loss. In fact, I'd been doing VA exams about 3 years, and I was flight surgeon in the Army. And I pulled my exit flight physical. Hell, I was 20% impaired. So I filed for my hearing loss. Here I'd wait 3 years, duh. And I'm giving my wife that money because she's the one that has to put up with it. All right. But if I died of a heart attack, that means that service connection is covered. tinnitus contributes to hypertension, strokes, and heart attacks. So I saw a veteran officer say, don't go for 10% tinnitus, go for something big, like sleep apnea. Well, no, that's bad advice. If you get 10% tinnitus, sleep apnea is covered. Tinnitus is a biggie, and almost everybody does. I can count on my hand a few people in the Air Force that didn't have tinnitus. Whenever the noise is so loud, you have to raise your voice. It's going to hurt your ears. Aborigines in the middle of Australia, old men don't get hearing loss. Pygmies in the middle of the Congo that have never seen trucks or anything, old men don't get hearing loss. The presbycusis, they call it that kind of hearing loss, noise-induced hearing loss, is worse in men. And people think it's something to do with the X and Y chromosome. Men mow more lawns, that's all. Okay. So if you were in basic training, you've got enough exposure. Okay. Yeah, secondary claim, absolutely. Let's go after depression, anxiety. Absolutely. Absolutely. No problem. Here is a OWCP, Eric from Texas. I appealed OWC's formal decision on my scheduled award for hearing loss after noticing several blatant errors in the decision letter. Who did your scheduled award? Okay. I requested a hearing the representative of OWC, and hearing took place in March. Transferred to branch hearings review. Decision of the hearing representative was issued in April. The hearing representative vacated the denial, OWC denial, in entirety. I've not been able to get updates on the status. I'd file another scheduled award. I mean, we'll do it for you. We won't even charge you. So don't continue to wait. You can always, in federal workers' comp, you have a thing called e-comp, how you can get in to see what your record is. You get to see the prosecuting attorney's file. And you can e-comp it. Now, we have a staff that will show you how to do it or how to do it for you. You know, we'll work with you on the phone and get your e-comp file set up and stuff. And you can check, see the status, whether you should do another scheduled award, because it's remanded back, and they're going to sit on it. So you shouldn't have been objecting. Your doctor who did the scheduled award should have been objecting. Okay, so let's not wait. I mean, that's money that should be in your bank. Okay, because this is not going to be put up on the top of the list to be taken care of. They'll just kind of get around to it, maybe. But then we can do things. We can help you file e-comp request for review of the record, e-comp request for an oral hearing, e-comp request for a supervisor. We can get them off their butt. Okay, because the law's on your side. Now here's Clarence, VA, Idaho. Husband's rated at 60. 40% hearing, 10% tinnitus, 10% left leg neuropathy, 10% for diabetes. Hypertension is approved, but it's 0. Then the VSO removed his reclaim for atrial fibrillation and mixed dementia. Removed it. VSOs, unless you've got a white coat, don't make those medical decisions. Hypertension contributes to atrial fibrillation. He's approved for hypertension. That makes his atrial fibrillation a presumptive slam dunk win. I've got case law and medical evidence for that. And dementia. Hypertension contributes to dementia. Don't take that off. Okay, the VA denied skin claims on hands and feet. It was on your discharge records. That's a slam dunk. And the CMP exam. Took blood pressure 3 times in 5 minutes. Don't even move shoes and socks. I don't need to read. I know she screwed you. She's not listening to you. I got you. Diabetes, hypertension, atrial fibrillation, vascular dementia. She said diabetes doesn't cause dementia. Bullshit. We've got case law and medical literature for that. Rhinitis that died didn't have a diagnosis. A lot of people don't have a diagnosis because they have to go to the doctor. So you need you want to need a diagnosis for atrial fibrillation dementia, but you also need your diabetes upgraded. If you're taking any insulin, it needs to be upgraded. If you're taking medicine, it's more than 10%. And then you need the neuropathy. How bad is that leg? 10%. I'll bet it's more by now. You want all that stuff. You want those things approved. And you also want the other steps evaluated if it's going up. Okay, here's Alfredo, don't know where he's from. This MMI, maximum medical improvement. This is federal works comp. Does MMI determine how much scheduled award you're going to get? No. MMI just says you can get a scheduled award. So let's say you have carpal tunnel surgery. I cannot do a scheduled award for 1 year. I have to wait at least 1 year before I can say you're now at MMI, maximum medical improvement. We can now rate you. But for instance, the doctor did 5 knee surgeries, and he did it in federal workers' comp. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The patient didn't have to pay copay, insurance, and all that stuff. And workers' comp paid for it all, and so, okay. Doctor, when will I be at MMI, maximum medical improvement? Because the doctor's not any legal medicine training, and it's not any federal workers' comp training. It's not read the FECA Act, the Federal Register. It's not read all of the FECA bulletins and OWCP and all the regulations. And then he said, well, you'll never be at MI because you're always going to need physical therapy. That would have cost him over $300,000. Because he's at MMI. Of course you need physical therapy, but it's maintenance. It's not going to make you change. Now, if you're scheduled for another surgery next week, you're not at MMI. But if you're just getting maintenance medication and maintenance physical therapy, you're at maximum medical improvement. Doesn't mean you can go back to work. Doesn't mean you're well. Just medically, we're just doing maintenance. And that's MMI. It has nothing to do with the scheduled award, just whatever it is. And you got to, now you better know this thing. And this sounds like ad copy, but let me tell you something. Now, we have the AMA guides, very convoluted, a lot of stuff. And now we have the Office of Workers' Compensation Programs, OWC bulletins. For instance, if we have a shoulder in the book, it's convoluted, but it's helped a lot. The first 5 editions, someone might write 20, someone read 5, and it's just numbers out of their asshole. Okay, but now there's a lot of forms and stuff that you got to do. You got to cite tables and pages. So most people are not qualified to do it. If they think they do it in state workers' comp, they're not going to do it right for federal. Okay, so you have a shoulder. You can range of motion impairment or diagnosis impairment, whichever is higher. So if the range of motion is higher, it's a standalone. That's it. That's the end. But if this is the book now, if this is higher, then you add a nerve to it. You never add a nerve to the range of motion. New FECA bulletin. You look at them. If range of motion is higher, you take that nerve that used to go only there and you put it here. That's a lot of money, folks. So if your person doing scheduled awards is not aware of that FECA bulletin, and everyone that's come down the line and doesn't have a notebook of all that stuff, you're going to be screwed. So I don't see any way we can put scheduled award places anywhere besides Oklahoma City. And we're not ever going to do it. Because if we farm it out, they'll screw it up. They'll screw it up. You got to follow the rules. And the rules are very good for you. Okay. For instance, this is the book, AMA Guides. Shoulder was rated at 18%. Then you can multiply it by a factor of 5% or 10%. Well, I incorrectly multiplied by 10%. So it's 18 plus 1.8 made it. So my final was 20%. The district medical advisor, because they really know the book well, everybody's really nitpicky in this book, and it's great. Okay, said no, it should have been 5%. So it went from 20% to 19%, but it didn't go to 5. But then we get things like we rated the shoulder at 18, and the district medical advisor rated 18, and the claims center sends a letter. Do you agree with the district medical advisor? And I said, quit looking for common sense. That's just, you say yes, and then that's the end of it. Now remember, it's administrative law, and it evolves. It's mercurial. But you need to know the magic words and all that stuff. And doctors don't like this stuff. Every doctor I've talked to, every lawyer said, I've done one federal, I'll never do another. So you got to be an asshole with OCD and speak the truth, and that's all you worry about. You don't worry about the patient. You don't worry about OWCP. You worry about Jesus reads, and you just tell the truth, and it wins in VA and federal because the system's set up that when you finally get somebody that knows the law, they'll apply it. There's no politics. Right? There's no politics. Whenever that's because when you finally get someone that knows it, but some rating officers in VA, supervisors at work don't know anything about federal work job. A lot of claims examiners only need a high school education. A lot of claims are not trained. Some of their denials are they didn't get a GED. Okay, and then because then there's that bias that they don't know they have. Although I had one guy that was in a coma and went to the emergency room, had MRI brain and neck and all this stuff, and was talking and needed his neck approved so he can have surgery. And he talked to his claims examiner. He said, "I will never accept your neck." So I sent her this picture. You may not be able to see it, but it shows the spinal cord is being pinched, not a nerve out here. The spinal cord is being pinched. That's why he's peeing on himself, shitting in his pants. The spinal cord is injured. The part that got hurt in Superman when he came. Still denying it. If you know who you are, claims examiner, you better start acting right because you're going to be in a big pile of shit. Because I don't put up with this. And you have no leg to stand on. And we will, now I had a doctor, went ahead and did surgery under his health insurance. We got his neck covered. But we'll get the other stuff done. But we're probably going to have to do it by getting the claims examiner fired. Because if you can't do that, you shouldn't be doing it. Just like I'm licensed to do brain surgery. If I did it, it's malpractice. I'm not trained. So if you have an attitude or you don't know the law, you shouldn't have that job. Sorry, you can't put my people in boxcars and send them to a gas chamber. So anyway, we're here to help. The law's on your side. God bless you, my beloved.